Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. We're switching gears a bit this week and taking a look at the latest funding news in environmental tech and enterprise software.
Really interesting stuff here, really cutting edge.
For this deep dive, we'll be referencing Bearhug Recruiting's recent recap.
It's a great resource. Really gives you a pulse on where the money's flowing.
It does. Okay, so let's jump right in with a company tackling a challenge we all face, dealing with waste. Cowboy Clean Fuels just secured $13 million in Series B funding to turn agricultural waste into renewable natural gas.
That's impressive. Series B funding is no small feat.
And get this, they're doing it by repurposing old coal bed methane wells. So smart.
It's a fantastic example of sustainability meeting practicality, which is what investors are really looking for right now. Solutions that not only solve problems, but can also be implemented on a large scale. And using existing infrastructure, that's a big win.
It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of scaling up, Micropep just raised $29 million to do exactly that. They're developing something called micropeptide technology, which sounds super complex, but is basically about harnessing the power of these tiny molecules to create a huge impact on agriculture natural solutions for bigger, more sustainable food production. Can you break down what micropeptides actually are?
Sure. Instead of relying solely on traditional pesticides or fertilizers, they're using these naturally occurring micropeptides to, say, boost a plant's natural defenses against pests or increase its nutrient uptake.
Oh, interesting. So it's like giving crops a boost from within, using the power of nature itself.
Exactly, a more targeted and environmentally friendly approach to agriculture, and from what we're seeing, investors are completely on board.
This whole intersection of agriculture and technology is fascinating. What other kinds of innovations are we seeing in that space?
It's a really exciting area right now. We're seeing a lot of activity around things like precision agriculture, vertical farming, even using AI to optimize crop yields.
AI seems to be popping up everywhere. What's got you excited about AI's potential in these fields?
AI is like this incredible tool that can be applied to almost anything, and we're just beginning to see its true potential. Take Mitra, for example. They're developing warehouse robots powered by AI software, and they just raised a massive $78 million. Think about it. Robots taking care of the heavy lifting in those gigantic warehouses.
That's pretty wild. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
That kind of automation could be a game changer for logistics.
absolutely. But of course, there are challenges as well, especially when you think about the workforce.
Right. It makes you wonder about the future of jobs in that industry with all this automation.
Exactly. How do we prepare the workforce for this shift toward automation? That's the big question we need to be talking about. It's not just about robots replacing jobs, it's about adapting and evolving alongside technology.
You're right. It's not about replacing jobs. It's about creating new opportunities and making sure people have the skills to thrive in this new landscape. And AI isn't just changing warehouses, is it? It's also being used to completely revamp another crucial system, the power grid. Splight, a company focused on optimizing grid operations for a cleaner energy future, just raised $12 million. What's the significance of that investment, particularly as we rely more and more on renewable energy?
That's a great question. Managing the power grid is becoming much more complex as we transition to renewable sources like wind and solar. They're intermittent, right? The wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always shine. You need really sophisticated systems to predict energy generation and balance the grid in real time. That's where AI is going to play a big role.
So it's like AI is becoming the brain behind our energy grid, making sure everything runs smoothly, even with these new, more unpredictable energy sources. That's pretty amazing.
It is. It's another clear indicator that AI is no longer some far-off concept. It's here, it's now, and it's transforming industries in ways we're just beginning to understand. And this brings us to a particularly exciting area of AI, generative AI. You know, the kind that can create things.
Right, like text and images, even music. It's really taken off.
It really has. One company that's doing some interesting things in this space is Docket AI. They're using generative AI to build a virtual sales engineer.
Wow, a virtual sales engineer. So
Right.
that means no more awkward sales pitches.
Well, it's more about enhancing the sales process, not replacing salespeople altogether,
Yeah.
but it does highlight the potential of generative AI.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what else they could use it for.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
It can be a little unnerving, though, right? I mean, all this
Right.
talk about AI, it makes you wonder.
I know what you mean. I feel it too sometimes. With great power comes great responsibility and all that, but that's where a company like Lakera comes in.
What are they?
They just raised $20 million to provide real-time security for AI applications. So they're making sure things stay safe.
Oh, so they're like the cybersecurity guardians of the AI world.
Exactly. Speaking of pushing boundaries, Code Metal just raised $16.5 million for their work on AI-powered development tools for edge computing.
Edge computing. Can you explain that? What is it
Well,
exactly?
so basically, edge computing brings computation and data storage closer to where it's needed instead of relying on a central cloud.
And why is that important?
Well, think about self-driving cars or smart devices. They need real-time processing.
Ah, I see.
And that's where edge computing comes in. And Code Metal is using AI to make developing these applications much faster.
So it's like bringing the power of the cloud to your fingertips, making everything faster and more responsive. Amazing. It's incredible to think about all the things that are possible when you combine AI with these really advanced hardware applications. And speaking of pushing boundaries, Starcatcher just raised $12.25 million to build a space-based energy grid.
Space-based energy. It sounds like science fiction, but it's a sign of the times.
It makes you wonder what else we'll come up with.
I know, right? The demand for innovative energy solutions is only going to grow from here.
That's for sure. But for now, let's come back down to earth for a minute. We've talked a lot about AI, but what about its impact on something a bit closer to home, like the food and beverage industry?
Oh, absolutely. AI is already having a big impact there. Sojo Industries, for example, just secured funding for their mobile automation and robotics solutions, specifically for assembling food and beverages.
Wow, so robots making our sandwiches and packaging our drinks. What does that mean for jobs in that industry?
That's a million-dollar question, isn't it? As automation becomes more prevalent, we need to think about how we equip people with the skills they need to adapt.
It's a good reminder that technology isn't just about cool gadgets. It has real-world consequences for people. And on that note, Tiger Beetle just raised $24 million for their work on a specialized database technology, something about high-performance online transaction processing.
They're tackling a really specific niche.
It's interesting, though, right? It seems like we're seeing a lot of investment in these really specialized solutions.
We are. Investors are recognizing the value of focused innovation, even in very specific fields.
It kind of proves that you don't have to be everything to everyone. Sometimes being the best at one specific thing can be just as impactful, if not more so.
Hmm.
It's true. And, sometimes those specialized solutions can lead to breakthroughs in other areas too, kind of like what Cyronopt is doing with materials characterization. They're using cold atmospheric plasma and machine learning to basically create a fingerprint for materials.
It's fascinating stuff, really cutting-edge technology.
It's like something out of a detective show.
Right. But it shows you how important data and analytics are becoming, even in understanding materials.
It's like giving materials a voice, and AI is listening.
Exactly. And speaking of AI, Uplimit just got $11 million for their AI-powered enterprise learning platform.
That's interesting. What do they focus on?
Training, helping employees, even customers, learn new skills.
Important stuff, especially now with AI changing the job market so rapidly.
It is. Uplimit gets that. They're all about continuous learning.
Makes you think about your own skills, right? Got to stay ahead of the curve. And Momentum, a customer intelligence company, just raised $13 million. They help businesses get insights from customer interactions. How does that fit into everything we've been talking about?
It's all connected. Data-driven decisions are key. Momentum helps businesses really understand their customers.
By using AI to analyze all that customer data they collect.
Exactly. More personalized experiences, stronger relationships.
It's all about making those connections. Oh, and one more company I wanted to mention, Rift. They raised $5 million for their sales platform that automates tasks for sales reps. I think that'll change how we think about sales.
It could. Sales is definitely a human-centric field.
Right, but automating those tedious tasks could free up sales teams to focus on what matters.
Building relationships, closing deals.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from renewable natural gas to space-based energy, and of course, AI's impact on pretty much everything. What are your final thoughts for our listeners?
We're seeing innovation across the board. It's exciting, but also a little daunting. Stay curious. Keep asking questions and think about how these technologies are going to shape our world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep exploring, keep learning, and join us next time for another deep dive.